All right, we are live again. Welcome, Greg. Here we are once again.
Yeah.
I'm Rick Sorensen.
Greg Camp, nurse practitioner, work in the ER as well as run a weight loss clinic.
I work with Greg in both of those places.
Yep.
So here we go. Before we get started, we just want to remind everyone that the things we discuss are for educational, informational purposes only and not to be taken as individual medical advice. We discuss a lot of things on the program, and it's not a substitute for personalized medical care. We recommend that you always consult with your physician or a qualified health care provider before starting or changing any medication, supplement, or health program, especially if you have any underlying medical conditions. That being said, let's get into it. Greg, we talked a little bit last week about prioritizing protein and eating real foods.
Yes.
And doing that so that we can be in a calorie deficit, not a nutrient deficit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Big one.
And that way we try to maintain the good health. We add good things, not just take everything away and starve our bodies into wasting away rather than thinning and health in a healthy way.
Right. Because the goal is not just weight loss, right? Anyone that is trying to lose weight is also, I mean, at least every person I've ever talked to trying to lose weight is one of their top priorities is to be healthier, right? The weight is just one of the
it's the easy thing we talk about.
Yeah, it's
like
right?
Oh, I want to weigh this, I want to lose weight, but really feeling and being healthier and more active, being able to do the things that maybe you haven't for a while.
So it's about being healthier. And that's why we talk about the things we talk about is because ultimately we're not just wanting you to lose weight, even though that's kind of sometimes the main priority, the subject. We really want you to be healthier while you're losing weight and feel good.
Yeah. Okay. So when we're talking about going on a diet, we're losing weight, we're doing things, we've talked about kind of changing the composition of what we eat, focusing on protein and some real foods, and not eliminating everything. Still have that pancake, but with some protein.
Sure.
Or the Kodiak protein. Is it the Kodiak brand? Right.
Kodiak. There's Kodiak. There's actually a couple of them.
Yeah, I think Clean Simple Eats does one.
Yeah, there's a couple really good ones.
Yeah. So some protein prioritization. So overall, then though, we want to talk about like. We're not trying to starve ourselves. We're not trying to do something that we can't do. Like, I don't think it's realistic to expect someone not to eat things that they enjoy eating. And we don't really want that. I love good food.
Yep.
We just want to eat less of a lot of it.
Yes.
Right.
Less of the good food.
And so let's talk about that. I mean, on our wellness guide, we call that the 25% rule.
Yep.
Right. So we want to talk about that maybe a little bit, what that means for people.
Yeah. You know, and this was introduced to me and really came about when I was in family practice 6 years ago, and heard this concept of stop the calorie counting and really focus on more of a proportional based system. Because anyone that's done calorie counting, right? If you're listening to this podcast, you probably have either counted calories or counted macros with the intention of cutting some of those down and losing some weight. And ultimately, what they've found with calorie counting programs is not very many people stay on them for very long. We all know that our weird cousin that, loves counting calories and everything they eat. But boy, these tend to be type A anxious people, not really aligning with most people's lives, especially if you have a busy life. I mean, who can possibly sit there and count every single calorie that goes in and out? Now, there's nothing wrong with doing it short term, right? Counting calories is not a bad thing. We know that counting calories ultimately can lead to you having a better understanding of what you're actually eating. So we're not anti-counting calories. What we are is we're not anti really anything. We're really just we're more for sustainability and long-term. What can you do long-term? And this is where the 25% rule comes in. Eat what you eat, but eat about 25% less. When you do this, you don't have to bust out the calculator. You don't have to weigh your food or get out the calorie counting app, because anyone that's done those know that can cause a ton of just stress and anxiety. At first, it seems fun and exciting. After a couple of weeks, you are exhausted. Take it from me. I've done it before a couple times. And it is really, after the first couple of weeks, it's great because I had a very good idea of what I was taking in. I also became extremely distracted by it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it becomes the focus on
Yeah.
this. And we just want to enjoy your food, enjoy your life,
Yep.
enjoy your health, but get on a healthy thing. So eat less, right? There's a couple of, I think, hacks
Yeah.
that can help with that. Like overall, if we're just talking about whatever you're eating, eat less of that thing.
Yep.
Right. Eat whatever you like,
Yeah.
just less of what you normally do. So that means like don't go through a second time. Don't over scoop the thing. A couple of the things that I think I found super helpful is use a smaller plate.
Yeah.
Right. Like I tend to want the biggest plate.
Yeah.
Because I can stack on my food and get it on there nice. But if you use a smaller plate, it kind of fools your mind into perceiving more food
A
than
full plate.
right. A full plate of a smaller plate looks like a full plate.
And you just have physically less space to put food on. So you naturally are just going to
eat less that way.
Yeah. So the reason we started out with 25% is not by accident, right? 25% is an amount that you can reduce without overdoing it, right? Because we know some people will reduce 75, 80% of what they're eating. And then we get worried about, going into starvation mode. We're now lacking those nutrients, as Rick had pointed out earlier. This is not trying to lower our nutrients, it's trying to lower our calories. So we're still trying to keep the nutrients up. And so when you do 25%, you're able to take away 25% and you're still able to keep a good foundation and nutritional base, as well as it's doable, right? If we could say 50%, we could say 75%. The problem is that 50% of your food dropping it, especially suddenly, is that going to be a good long-term plan? And the answer for most
sustainable
people, it's not.
Yeah, no.
And so now I do have some patients that drop naturally, do that 25%, and later on, maybe they figured out they were eating way too much and they maybe do another 25%, right? That's not going to be a total of 50%. That's going to be 25% more of what they were doing. But it's mostly because they were binge eating. That might be the case for you. And if that is the case, either way, starting out with 25% is going to give you that good starting spot. And if you need to cut out more later on, that's not a problem as long as we're staying nutritionally sound.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. I'm gonna go with hack number 2 that I really like. So I'm gonna point in my life. Kids are kind of grown and almost acting like adults, and so my wife and I find ourselves in a situation. It's harder to cook for 2 people than it was for 7.
Yeah,
for years, decades, and so we find ourselves eating out a little bit more frequently than we did 20 years ago.
Yeah,
right. So this is life hack number 2 that for me has been like amazing is the to-go box, right? So order food. Restaurants tend to most restaurants give a fairly ample portion of food. A lot of restaurants give way too much for a portion. So the thing that I found is order whatever you want to eat, your food, and then at the time you order it, ask for a to-go box. And when you eat your food, take half your food and put it in the to-go box.
Yeah.
Right. And that's tomorrow's dinner.
It's just so smart. It's such a clever way. Most of the restaurants will actually box it up for you if you ask them to ahead of time.
Just bring me half my food and half in the to-go box.
Yep. And this just puts you in a position where you're already winning, right? It's already out of sight, out of mind. You already know you have a meal for the next day or the day after, however you like to do that.
And guess what? I just spent the same amount of money on 2 nights of dinner.
Exactly. And to amplify that point, if you even wanted to, I know with me and my wife, the thing that we've been trying to do, and we do the to-go box method as brought to you by Rick. He's the one who originally kind of talked to me about that. And I'm like, oh, that's genius. The other thing that because my wife does like some leftovers every once in a while. She likes those. Now me, I don't care. It's either way with me. So what we'll do sometimes, especially if we're not in a position to take leftovers home, is we'll take our turns and we'll just split a meal.
Yeah.
We'll pick up something.
Yeah, no, we do that a lot too. Is if we can agree,
right? If you can agree,
something
sure.
Eat. But yeah, we just order the one thing, or maybe one thing and an appetizer, and then split that. That's great.
Yeah, and one thing that we don't point out when we talk about this stuff is the cost savings, right? Because
Yeah.
like Rick had mentioned, you end up making 4 meals out of 2 when you do the to-go boxes. When you're going to a restaurant, I mean, anymore nowadays, you can even go to a Chili's and you're 50 to $80 down by the time you pay for the tip. So, in a lot of ways, like when you just share a half a meal, you're going to find proportional, like our portion sizes, I mean, are more than enough. One of those meals is more than enough to feed 2 people, especially if you're in this reduction, this 25% mode. And you're also going to find that you save a bunch of money. So you're losing weight, you're saving money. I mean,
and I've never done this and felt like, oh my goodness, I didn't get enough to eat.
Yep. Ever.
Especially when I'm drinking my glass of water first.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. And especially when you're ordering meals with, we're going to hit on these points until you're tired of hearing about them. You're eating you're drinking your glass of water before you eat. And then you're prioritizing protein, right? You guys get something high in protein. I mean, you're filling up fuller, you're staying fuller longer. You're probably saving a few bucks now. I mean, this is your life is like your trajectory is going upward. I mean, this is a good thing.
Yeah. So that's a great hack on how to do that. We're talking about like 1 less scoop of pasta, a half of a sandwich, little things like that can help. And the other thing, so this is my wife's favorite hack as well. Kids meals.
Oh yeah.
Like, we got a quick meal. We're going to stop by Chick-fil-A or McDonald's, wherever it is, but get a kids meal. Like it's plenty of food.
It is plenty of food. Let's if you don't mind me sharing a story that you kind of reminded me of there was a patient, and I don't know if I've ever told you this before, so it might be repetitive for Rick, but I had a patient that came in and she just was all about having her McDonald's 4 or 5 times a week. And she was not willing to make that commitment at that point that she was going to cut out the McDonald's. So rather than me chastising her, getting on her, telling her she has to stop the McDonald's now today, because I don't think we would have had a successful long-term, relationship and ability to help her make her changes if we were taking that one thing that she was using as somewhat of a crutch away from her. So she wanted her burger and she wanted her fries from McDonald's. And like I said, this is 4 to 5 times a week. So this seemed like an uphill battle at first. The suggestion or solution that we came up with originally was that you go get your burger, go get your fries, but get a kid's meal, just like Rick had pointed out. And, it was interesting to watch her. I didn't have to do anything after that. As we talked a lot and we worked through the process, but I didn't have to really do anything after that in terms of she really just started taking it away from herself. She went to the kids' meal. She started seeing some success. She lost 5 pounds. And then she was like, oh, and I went to McDonald's 2 less times. And then the next time she came in, she was down 5 more pounds. And she'd only been to McDonald's on average, maybe twice a week. And before I knew it, but without any real suggestion on my side of it, this girl is not even going to McDonald's anymore. She's just eating healthier, but she did it her way, right? At first, she thought that taking away that cheeseburger and fries from McDonald's was something that she couldn't even fathom at the time when we first started. And by the time we were 6 months in, she's reaching her weight loss goals. She's completely eliminated McDonald's from her diet. Yeah. And I mean, for the most part, right? I'm sure
not that McDonald's is all bad. We're not going to hate all the way, but
no, but it was really more so her mentality.
Right.
And when we started talking originally a few weeks ago about the small steps, right? We started saying like, we can't do this all at once.
Right.
I think that's one of those things where she just needed it presented in a way where she could do this gradually and kind of do it on her own terms.
Take a few little steps. Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
So I think that's a great point. Go, go to Wendy's. If it's the only place at this rundown place that you're driving by, why not stop at Wendy's and just get the burger, don't get the fries, or get the kids meal and have a little bit of everything, but you're decreasing the overall portion amount.
Yeah.
Now you're not going to find many weight loss professionals or medical professionals telling you to stop at Wendy's or McDonald's. But what we're not for you doing is feeling that you can never have those things
and depriving yourself to where it's uncomfortable. Again, sustainable, achievable, lifestyle changes are the kind that are going to be you're going to live with over a long, long period of time. And if you're like a Wendy's fan, I mean, have Wendy's. That's fine. Just have less Wendy's.
You'll probably find that, the less Wendy's you have,
Have less everything. Have
terms, less everything.
Whatever. That's
right?
what we're talking about.
Yeah, you're just
25%
going to
less.
feel a lot better anyways. And
Yeah.
so you'll find that you gravitate towards more of the things that we're talking about, the real food, really pushing your water, getting stuff with a more nutritional value. And no one's going to have to tell you, whether you're with a medical provider or not, or here on this podcast, no one's probably going to have to tell you to frequent Wendy's less. You're just going to naturally do that on your own because you're just feeling so much better.
You're going to feel better. Yeah. I think that's the thing I've noticed is as you make some of these small changes and over time, this is not a quick thing, but over a few months, you start to feel so much differently and better that it just becomes part of your normal at that point.
Absolutely.
And that's what we've seen. And that's what really drives a lot of this and our passion for this.
Yeah.
Okay. So Greg, less food, 25% rule, get the to-go box, smaller plate,
be creative,
kids meals, the little life hacks on that. So let's talk a little bit now, something else when we've talked about, not necessarily just taking away, but adding on, there are a few things that we want to take away. So we want to take away 25% of the food overall.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
And change the focus of what we eat. So it's nutritional, gives us that nutrition without extra calories. Sugar. Let's talk about sugar, carbohydrates, but plain sugar. I don't know how you want to address that, but
well, simple sugars, you have your complex carbs that are generally considered to be more nutritional value. They're still going to have some impact on your body, right?
And so complex carbs, let's just break that down.
Yeah.
Give us some examples so people will know what
Sure,
we're talking about. People always say complex carbs, simple carbs.
Yeah, your brown rices, your wheats, things that are carbs that actually carry some nutritional value, are going to be just your more real foods that are also considered carbohydrates. Now, it's not everything is just one thing, right? Not everything is just a protein or just a fat or just a carb, right? You're going to get some mixed. And so a complex carb is going to be it's going to be a carbohydrate, like I said, brown rice, grains, things that you can think of in terms of, but that are more in their more natural form and not so processed. And so those are going to be your complex carb, even some,
so like a whole wheat bread instead of a white bread.
Sure. And some, good, a little more natural, some shredded wheat for your cereal instead of, your Lucky Charms or, Yeah, I know. Look, me and Rick do not hide the fact that, some of these things are difficult for us too. Okay. This is not automatic for us.
The cereal is actually something I've made huge progress. I mean, we work in an ER, we're shift workers, and I don't know what it is. I haven't seen a medical study, but I guarantee you get done with a shift at 2:00 in the morning. You get home at 2:30, 3:00 in the morning. It's like this. I don't know what it is. Being awake at that time of the day after a stressful thing, you get home and a bowl of cereal is like this magical thing, But I've actually been able to cut that out.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's true. It's there's things that. There's just things like that. And your bowl of cereal may be something else, right? But it's ultimately what we were kind of transitioning into is talking about how do we take this 25% rule? We're reducing overall amounts, but how do we take that and really, how do we implement it into the simple stuff, the sugars, the candy, the cake, the ice cream, the things that are truly a lot of times a big barrier for a lot of people, us included. Me and Rick won't hide from the fact that we have a sweet tooth as much as anyone. And so, but we're people that, I guess we shouldn't say that like that, right? If we're taking the right mentality.
We are people who occasionally eat sweets.
Correct.
Is that better?
Correct.
We are healthy people
who crave sweets and eat sweets. Yeah.
Yeah. Not a lot.
We're working.
We just finished the holidays.
I know. Work in progress. Well, and so we're taking that same mentality that we do with general food, and we're saying, how do we also put this in perspective for the foods that we really need to be focused in on? Because if you're going to reduce anything, like if we just had to pick one thing that you could probably have the biggest impact by reducing, it's probably going to be the sweets, right? Yeah. It's going to be whatever your crux is, the simple sugars. Yep. And so really just taking that 25% rule and making sure that even if at the beginning you can't cut everything out by 25%, even if you start with 25% on just the sweets, right? You're
Yeah.
going to start seeing some progress. You're going to start finding that you can do that, right? You can own that. I still get 75% rather than focus on taking away 25%. I get 75% of that. And then, yes, of course, we'd love that to be maybe transitioned into a higher amount, 50%, or it kind of depends on how many sweets you have. But, really working on the sweets is going to be a big factor. Sweets at the end of the day, the reason why that's such a focal point for so many people, and we'll be included in that, we'll talk about it, is because it really just, the way that your body manages insulin
Yeah.
and glucose and the release of glucagon and your release of insulin is ultimately what is like the metabolic features that result in weight gain or weight loss. So the reason why we store fat or why we can use fat.
So maybe the simple way to think about that is when you talk about sweets, simple sugars, candies, donuts, Lucky Charms,
Whatever, ice cream, cake,
ice cream. It gives this big dose, a big bolus of easy energy, right, for your body, and what it really is it's more than your body needs. It's like, oh, your body sees this, oh my goodness, I just got this huge load of energy. I don't need any of it. What am I going to do with that? And that's you get the spike of insulin, because that's what your body does to say, hey, you know what? Store this for another day. And
your body has no idea we're in 2026.
Right.
Your body doesn't compute that.
It's like, holy cow, I got a great meal. It's a huge amount of energy. I'm storing it for later. And that means I'm converting it to fat and putting it on your belly and your butt.
And so we really want you to think in terms of the sweets, yes, cut them back, use the 25% rule. If you can do it, better than that, when it really comes down to the 25% rule, and especially as it relates to things that we really should be cutting way down, the sugary foods, it really ends up just being a stop at the door. How many times are you walking by that plate of cookies at work? I know me and Rick run into this all the time at work. They have donuts and cookies and
all the time.
How many times do you go by that and just grab one and don't even think about it? Grab another cookie, don't even think about it. If you looked back at your day, if you really thought about it, you consumed 4, 5, 6 cookies. I mean, you would never normally just sit there and eat that many, but that arbitrary eating, if you start doing something like the 25% rule, and just as you're walking by, anything you're going to eat, what you say to yourself, what's 25%? There's oftentimes where this will trigger a response or a stop at the door before you eat that thing. And you go, why was I picking that up? I'm not even hungry. I just had lunch, or
it's just there.
It really is going to limit that amount of arbitrary eating. And of course, we'd love that to really spill over into the sugary stuff, the stuff we're talking about now, the simple carbohydrates that end up getting us in a lot of trouble. So it's not saying don't have a cookie. No, we're not saying that. We're saying that have a cookie or have half a cookie and move on.
I mean, So I like that, because to me, it's have a cookie intentionally, right? No, don't just let cookies happen, right?
Sure.
Like you don't graze. But recognize, hey, look, hey, somebody just brought this plate full of goodies, or like I went to a wedding reception and they've got this whole decked out thing of treats, to give. We're not saying don't eat any of that. Don't just cut it all out. It's be intentional about that. Say, you know what? I'm going to have one cookie. I'm going to eat one bonbon. And I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to taste it. It's going to be great. But I'm not going to load up 6. Right.
It's so important.
And so an intentional, defined thing.
That arbitrary eating is what gets a lot of us in trouble. I know I've been there. I think you had mentioned to me that you'd been there before, when we're just eating just to eat. We just, even if it's just the chips sitting on the table, boy, by the time you're done with those, you didn't even realize that you got through a quarter or a half a bag of chips. I mean, I don't know what the calorie count on that is, but it's probably going to be what you would normally consume in an entire day. We're going to struggle on a regular basis if we just let ourselves do that arbitrary eating. When we do a proposition of what we're going to cut out, meaning like we're talking about 25%, you can do whatever makes sense in your brain. But what we're really talking about is that we're being more mindful of what we're putting in, because it's that stop at the door before you eat. How much am I consuming? And then also cut out some of the nonsense, cut out some of the stuff that you're like, look, there was no reason for me to pick up those additional cookies. I wasn't even that hungry.
Right.
I just happened to be walking by them. And every time I walk by the cookie counter, there's a cookie there and I grab it. So you stop and you go, what's 25%? And all of a sudden you're like, what's 100%? Why was I even grabbing that cookie again?
Yeah.
I know what my goals are. I know what I'm trying to do here. And when you do that, what it does is it just puts it at the forefront of the brain.
Yeah.
And once
Makes
again,
it
now we're
intentional.
not sitting here
Yep.
calculating on our phone. Can I fit this?
Do I have
third
120
cookie?
calories to give
Yeah.
so far yet today? Yeah.
Well, because what happens with calorie counting, right? Especially when it's not highly focused on nutrition, it's just purely calories, right? Yeah, you can consume all your calories in that day in cookies. And now what do you have left, right? You've stopped yourself from eating because you've met your calories.
You've also created a nutrition deficit,
Yes.
which is exactly what we're trying to not do.
And so what we talked about before, right? Now you're going to have more cravings because you're going to be in this nutritional deficit that frankly just doesn't, and you're going to feel like garbage.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
we all know.
Okay. So yeah, 100%. I wanted to mention one other hack.
Yep.
And this is easy. Let me just shout out that, like, if anyone wants to just geek out on kind of some of the things we're talking about, the Obesity Code is a book that is, it's phenomenal. It talks, and we'll talk about some of the other things. It talks a lot about timing of meals and things, but really it's about not causing those big insulin spikes that signal to your body to store all the calories as fat. That's what your body can do, is store it as fat. So the rule in my mind that I have is, don't drink your calories. Like huge, easy. So that's juice and sodas, even diet sodas, all of the artificial sweeteners in diet sodas spike your insulin. And so your body's just storing on that. And so that's the one that I kind of was a big change for me, is try not to drink your calories, because
that's such an
there's
important
not a lot
point.
of nutrition. There's just
there's just calories,
sugars and calories and signal to your body, store everything.
Well, let's dive into that a little bit more. I think it's an important point to make, because at the end of the day, I find that most of my patients that are willing to even if they'll just start with the liquid calories, the sodas, the juices, all these things, they have such success. Most of them will see a significant amount of weight loss initially. And let's talk about why. Ultimately, these things are usually high in refined sugar, even if it's a juice, right? Your apple juice, your orange juice, come on. Like, it's 2026. Hopefully by now everyone knows these are not nutrient dense foods. If you don't know that, you know it now. These are not healthy for you. We used to think they were. They're really very, for what they do.
Well, they're very processed.
Yes.
And kind of just, they have the delicious and the sugar.
Yep. And they spike your insulin levels, as Rick had mentioned, but they do it in such a way that is so much faster than you even, let's say, eating that cookie, because it's already broken down. It's already liquefied. It hits your system so fast and so hard, which is why a lot of times you'll end up having something like that. And then about a half an hour to an hour later, you get this big Thanksgiving effect where you could just fall asleep. You could go take a nap on the couch. You're like, I don't get it. I just had this caffeinated beverage and I could still go take a nap. Well, it's because you just spiked your insulin, and then shortly thereafter, you're going to spike it so hard that then you take a big dip and you just crash your blood sugars. And then what happens? Your body starts cranking out its own blood sugar, your glucagon from the liver, and you get in this vicious up and down cycle. You're all over the place. Your insulin spikes after your glucose spikes, and then you tank it. And now you can go take a nap. And I'll have so many patients come in and they're like, look, like, I'm struggling with the weight. And almost with undoubtedly one of the biggest second things that they complain is a maybe not the right word, but they report is fatigue.
Yeah.
I just,
and what do I do when I hit that thing? What do I do? I'm going to drink another Coke, because that makes me feel.
Yep. And so they're just spiking this insulin and glucagon release. They're all untimely. They all are out of complete whack, which ends up leading to a coined phrase that's been around for the last several years: metabolic resistance, right? You're just building up this metabolic resistance to where your insulin, your insulin, you're going to need more and more insulin to respond to the blood sugars. And ultimately, what is your insulin doing? Rick had mentioned it earlier, is all it's doing is taking the sugar out of your blood and storing it away. We know what it stores at, and it's nothing you want anything to do with. And so it's really just,
This is our model.
Yep.
This is what 5 pounds of fat looks like in your body.
Yep. Not anything you want to mess with.
Life size.
Yeah. So it's ultimately, that's really where it comes down to. If you can cut out, and Utah is like the capital. We're in Utah, and we're like the capital of soda shops, right? It's people's substitution maybe for alcohol.
More soda shops. Yeah.
per capita, I think
It is, yeah.
we just
That's where,
absolutely
yeah.
dominate. And you know,
Swig started it all, and there's
yeah.
tons of others. Yep.
And look, we
And
don't,
sodas are great, but
yeah, we don't deny their
there's a
tasting.
whole market for that.
Yeah. It's ultimately the liquid sugars. I think it's just so important that Rick brought that up, because if you can cut that one significantly down or even out completely,
Yeah.
you just that alone, I have lots of patients that just work on that one initially because it's maybe one of their biggest challenges. And we're talking oftentimes 10 pounds in a month of just cutting that out. And most patients by the end of that month, they're already starting to see that their body, they've gotten over that fix. They're starting to have more energy. They're feeling better. And oh yeah, by the way, they're 10 pounds down and they feel so much better because of that. Now we got a win in our pocket and we're moving forward.
Yeah. Now, the other thing that is, again, we're not saying never have a soda.
Nope.
It save it for a special occasion, or in fact, if you're like, I really just want to have a Coke, have it with your meal. Have it with a meal that is prioritized protein. So you're not just getting this big drink of sugar or artificial sweetener, even in some cases, but it's part of a healthier meal with some protein and some other things, and that gives your body a little bit more ability to kind of work with that.
Sure. Yeah, it's so true. And even the diet sodas, I mean, they get a bad rap because of some of the artificial sugars and things that does. But boy, if you need a transition, I mean, I guess transition from the regular sodas to diet, and then maybe transition back to where that's more of an occasional thing. Like Rick had said, really promoting the idea that this is maybe just a thing for birthday parties and weddings, and otherwise we just kind of leave it out. It's not something that we need to, we rely on every single day for starting our day with. It's just one of those things that just can wreak havoc on the system.
Well, and playing the mind game that we talked about a few weeks back is having this positive thought. Like if I convince myself I am not a person that has to have a soda every day or 4 times a day. I'm someone who enjoys it occasionally, and I am someone who can enjoy water. Like that kind of was a big transition for me. Is you know what, water's okay, and it tastes good, and and even if you throw a little electrolyte flavor in or something.
Sure, yeah. There's alternatives for sure. You can do electrolyte additives, things like that. Are we promoting that these are the absolute end all be all most healthy things in the world? No, but when we're substituting out, 50 grams of sugar, a bunch of caffeine, and you're talking about adding a little bit of like electrolyte flavoring because that's what you need to just kind of help push through your day and be successful with this. Yeah, we're gonna take the latter every day.
Yep. Okay.
So
take homes for today. 25% rule.
Yeah.
Is that what we talked about?
Yeah. Talked about the 25% rule, talking about, reducing your overall sugar intake, whether you're using the 25% rule or you're using another method, overall your success is going to be a number of things that you do. Cutting back on some of the sugar is going to be one of those things that is definitely helpful.
Yeah. And you can do this. We can all do this. Do the small things, do a few little things. We'll continue to talk about it. We got some exciting stuff coming up next week. But I think that's a wrap for today. Do the social media thing. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe.
Yeah.
Click on the buttons.
Follow along.
Make it work.
Click on whatever you.
We're working on it. We're going to learn this, man.
Yeah.
As a reminder, this is for educational purposes only. If you have any specific questions, please consult your physician or qualified healthcare provider. Anything we discuss here should not be used as individual medical advice. And we really appreciate you being here. We hope you all the best, and let's get healthy.
Take care, guys.